Hi everyone, my name is John. Welcome back to my channel once more for another book review that I'm catching up on. A few months ago, I guess this was Q3 of 2024 for Historathon, a history reading event I'm a co-host of, and we have an ongoing running Discord for. I read this with a few of my friends, and I wanted to talk about it. It was the big book that I think was my fault. I think I inflicted this on everyone, even though I think everyone liked it. I think most everyone with the channel has commented a little bit about it, and the reviews are generally positive. I actually really liked it, and if you saw my best books of 2024, you'd know that this made it into my top 5 books of the year. And the book is, well, it's right here. It's The Enlightenment, The Pursuit of Happiness, 1680 to 1790, by Ritchie Robertson. And this is a big boy. This is by HarperCollins, published by HarperCollins. The Enlightenment can, and has been, sort of turned into anything you want it to be. It's sort of a set of rose-colored glasses, I guess. It has been described as the cause for the rise of reason and the scientific method and political liberalism and the questioning of different kinds of religious authority. For Max Horkheimer and Theodor Adorno, it was responsible for the rise of instrumental reason, which eventually led to the disenchantment of people and the rise of totalitarianism in the 20th century. Too often, histories of the Enlightenment are described as only contributing a sort of coldly abstract focus on reason, logic, and empiricism. But in The Enlightenment, The Pursuit of Happiness, 1680 to 1790, which came out in 2021, Oxford professor of German language and literature, Ritchie Robertson, suggests that Enlightenment signaled more than that it was a transition from a need of salvation, which we sort of associate as being a religious idea that comes out of the late, or maybe not necessarily late, but the Middle Ages, to one of earthly happiness, associated with ideas like empathy, compassion, toleration, and other virtues that we associate with, generally speaking, liberal values and liberal societies. The subtitle, The Pursuit of Happiness, appears to be a promise to the reader to discuss aspects of the Enlightenment that usually get short shrift. Happiness here is really a byword for a constellation of ideas that we associate with living in an open society. The freedom of conscience, especially religion. The role fiction plays in shaping a more empathetic, understanding, and engaged human imagination. Changing ideas about how we raise and educate children. Emerging concepts of cosmopolitanism in the writing of people like Johann Gottfried von Herder and Georg Foster. The slow disappearance of the divine right of kings in the political sphere, and the rise of completely secular histories that don't resort to religion or the supernatural for explanations. When Robertson sticks to these topics, the book is at its strongest, because these all sort of directly flow into what the subtitle is all about: increasing human happiness, human prospering. If the book has one weakness, and even though it was one of my top 5 favorites, I'll still criticize it. It's that instead of immediately setting out to talk about those things that are associated with human happiness, and this isn't completely divorced from it, but it's not directly related to it either, Robertson uses the first third of the book. I mean, we're talking 250 pages or so as a kind of catch-all, diffuse Enlightenment primer to familiarize readers with what they probably already know about the Enlightenment if they've read a couple of books about it. All the stuff about reason, logic, science, all of that stuff that usually gets all the attention. It covers all the usual suspects, with the result being that stretches of the book read more like a catalog of trends, an exhaustive list on everything from philosophy and art to science to government, politics, religion, aesthetics, and that in traditional narratives coalesce to form something like what we recognize as the Enlightenment. And I have no qualms with an 800-page book. I love a long book that gets into the weeds of things. But an 800-page long book that takes 250 pages to really get into the meat of the subtitle, I have a little less patience with, even though obviously, like I said, one of my favorite books from last year. So still worth reading, very much worth reading. But get ready for, if you've read other books on the Enlightenment, that introduction, that usual story, that setup that you get. But then it's the second 2/3 of the book that I think are really strong. The book could have been considerably shorter. Like I said, had Robertson gotten down to brass tacks and detailed how the Enlightenment was responsible for the wide-ranging variety of liberalizing attitudes that created that pursuit of happiness that's in the subtitle. And just to anticipate what might be another popular complaint, the book is marketed toward the general reader, I think. It is put out by HarperCollins. By the way, I want you to see this is not published by Princeton University Press. There's the HarperCollins imprint right there. Not published by Princeton University Press. And while I love sections on, say, Catherine Macaulay or the aesthetics of the novel reading in the 18th century or art history writing in the 18th century, I don't think they're going to be page turners for most readers. I love the thoroughness that he goes through and talks about a lot of topics, but some of those topics may not interest everyone equally. So let me just put that out there. I suppose that's one of the risks that you get when you read a book by an academic, even if that book is published by a popular press. When Robertson gets around to supporting the thesis suggested in the subtitle about human happiness, he does a great job at shedding light on aspects of the Enlightenment that get far too little treatment outside of maybe scholarly monographs that are much too specialized for me. I am a generalist, very much a generalist. For those wanting more of an all-purpose survey that can occasionally highlight trends that don't get mentioned, you can probably not do better than this book. I thought this was really, really good, especially if you want, like I said, that comprehensive aspect. For anyone who wants to forego the familiar stock material on people like Diderot and company, you'll likely find yourself wishing that this book had found its way into the hands of a more skilled editor. But something about this also makes me appreciate that it's kind of a one-stop shop for Enlightenment ideas. Yeah, I mean, you don't get into the more humanizing, liberal, open ideas that made us more of the way we are today for a couple hundred pages. But you also have in the same book that material that you're more familiar with. So it might just be, one of the few books that you actually need to keep on your shelf about the Enlightenment because it covers so much ground. So there's that too. A lot of things to really like about this book. I generally was suspicious about how much he would deliver regarding the subtitle there, but he does. He does. It's not just about science and logic and reason and the scientific method. It's a really good book. I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. And again, sorry about this. The Enlightenment, The Pursuit of Happiness, 1680 to 1790, by Ritchie Robertson. I will see everyone soon with another review. Bye.